everyone. My name is Rinzen Lim, and today I'll be talking about houseplants. I'll be talking about a few houseplants. But in general, houseplants are great just to have at your home or your dorm room or whatever your home situation is. They can help you. They can help increase productivity just by being there. They can also benefit your mental health because it's just green plants sitting there, great to have. And of course, they just look nice in general. So the first couple I'll be talking about are great for air purifying or air purification purposes. They produce a lot of oxygen even through the night when the sun's not out, so photosynthesis is exactly like prominent. But the dragon plant, to start off with, is great because it, of course, does its whole photosynthesis thing all throughout the night, even though there's no sun out. But it can increase the humidity, which can be nice, and it also requires very little maintenance, which is like every 2 weeks you need to water it. But and then after that, every few years, I believe, you have to repot it. But other than that, there's not much care involved with the dragon plant. As a side note, it also has antioxidant properties, apparently. But do be careful with eating any plants. Do your research before eating any plants, please. The second I will be talking about is the snake plant, and it has a lot more of an effect on allergen removal because it can remove those allergens, but also up the humidity a bit more than the dragon plant can, so that dust has a harder time getting airborne, and it'll just sort of stay on the ground, which might not seem as nice, but it's better than breathing it in and seeing it all the time. Similar to the dragon plant, it also requires very little maintenance. Now, the second bit I will be talking about are plants that you can actually eat. While these aren't going to include stuff like fruits and carrots because those tend to need to be outside or otherwise harder to actually maintain, these are relatively easy to maintain. The first is lavender, and it's very popular because a lot of places or people use it in their food, their drinks, but it has chemical properties that help alleviate mental stress. Whether you're smelling it just by having it in your room, or you can make tea out of it. You can turn it into candy sometimes if you really feel like putting in that much effort. But it also acts as a bug repellent, and it's actually a common characteristic with most, if not all, plants in the mint family. But as a warning, mint itself can get out of control really easily. So make sure that if you happen to grow any mints, make sure that you're keeping them isolated from any other dirt that you happen to have in your home, because they will probably get into it. But another one that not many people tend to talk about is the bay laurel, and it is sort of like a little shrub, but it is also what people use for bay leaves. And so if you're making soups, stews, anything like that, it's really easy to get access to those bay leaves just right there. Now the important part is actually choosing your plants, because I only mentioned maybe 4 plants, maybe 5 with the other mints. But you want to be really careful with what you choose, because if the conditions for where you put them aren't right, and they'll probably die off or will have trouble growing or staying alive. One of these factors is, of course, how much sun wherever they happen to be gets, because some plants require full sun, some require partial or even completely shaded. So do be careful with that. Some plants also require humidity, certain humidity levels. Like I mentioned before, the snake and dragon plant can actually up the humidity, but others, like succulents, might require more dry conditions, or I believe the air plants might require more humid conditions. Um, you also want to be careful with how much time you're able to give to your plants, because you might forget it, or you might be too busy to take care of them, or you might just want to, or you might actually want to spend a lot of time taking care of your plants. These can range from effectively total neglect with plants like thyme, because thyme like the spice might actually thrive off of you just forgetting about it. But other plants like the orchid might require a lot more careful pruning or root care and stuff like that, because in the wild they do require trees for structural support, whereas you don't typically have a full tree in your dorm room or your house, unless I guess for Christmas. But you can also just in general have struggles with time restrictions and stuff like that overall. As a general rule, you do want to make sure you're doing a lot of research into what plants you get. Stuff like lavender and bay laurel will obviously have different requirements for their care, but overall they do require just the basic, at minimum they require basic things like a substrate or like soil, stuff like that. They require water, of course, air, and of course a decent amount of sun most of the time. But yeah, overall, houseplants are really great to have. Definitely invest in one, at least one. But the polyplant shop's been really great with that. Their staff is very good at helping you out with how to care for plants or which ones might be better for your living situation. And there's also a couple good places downtown, in downtown San Luis Obispo, that'll offer similar services as well.